going to switch gears now here to another seemingly endless campaign, and that's the campaign to save the euro.
It's amazing.
The Greek parliament voted over the weekend to support an austerity package. Now, why do we talk about this so often?
Package
we talk
number
about
35 or 40?
Right, exactly. But anyone who follows the stock market can see that it pretty much has been rising and falling over the prospect of the Europeans getting their act together on Greece and on the euro. And so the question is this where they have finally turned the corner, with the Greek parliament itself voting for austerity, or is there still a long way to go?
Oh, I think there's still a long way to go. I mean, what this does is it helps Greece avoid a messy default, which is what everybody fears. What in Europe they fear. I don't fear it because I think it actually might be healthy. But that would be a big shock potentially to lenders to other European nations, and that's what the European leaders want to avoid, is that lenders say, uh-oh, I'm going to take losses on European debt broadly, so then I'll pull back and we won't be able to sell our debt. So they're trying to avoid that. This avoids that. What it doesn't do is fix the underlying problem, which is Greece's lack of growth.
Right.
You can't service rising debt without growth. It's a lesson that every country has to learn, and that's the real problem. And I don't see, I mean, they're doing some things, they're going to lay off 150,000 government employees over several years. They're going to cut the minimum wage. But they're basically driving talented Greeks, out of Greece.
Yeah. And
you can't grow that way.
The Greek government itself is having a national election, maybe as early as April.
Right.
They could have a change of government. And some of the opposition is already talking about holding off on really committing to this and revisiting it after the election, which would put us back where we started.
Would put us back where we are. I mean, the way that other European leaders are going to stage this is in tranches. You'll get your cash here, and then after you do this, you'll get some more, and after you do that, you get some more. They can see the election coming too, so they want to hold the Greek politicians to their promises, no matter what party they're from. And right now, they're in a policy of simply begging for money, and begging for Europeans to say, okay, this is enough, we'll write you another check. I think it's a long time struggle here, and unless Europe grows faster to help carry Greece out of this, I don't know that growth is going to come.
Well, as investors understand, it's nominally about Greece, because if Greece defaults, you have these follow-on and knock-on effects.
Right.
That's why Greece is important. But mainly it's about the European banks. And an element of this agreement that they've been talking about in the last couple of days is that investors are being asked to take a 50% haircut or reduction on the Greek debt that they're holding.
Sure. Yeah.
Do you think that's a good idea?
Well, what's the alternative? I mean, I felt that they should have to, I believe they have to take some kind of haircut, because the alternative would be we're not going to do anything, and then you end up with maybe a really ugly default, and the investors would get much less, potentially. They might get a dime, 20 cents on the dollar. So, they're hoping that this is all the hit that they have to take. Who knows, before this is over, they might have to take more. But it's such a, the one thing that's happened in the last few months, it looks like, thanks to the European Central Bank, is that a Lehman Brothers-like failure of the banking system seems to have been taken off the table, at least for now. And that's created that's removed the risk of a real catastrophic event. That's what's reassured a lot of people. What it hasn't done is fix the underlying problem and sustainability of the Eurozone and growth in the Eurozone.
And it's not just Greece, it's Italy, it's Spain, it's even France.
Oh, no question.
I mean, the one major economy that has returned itself around to a great extent is Germany. And so it raises the question of whether the Germans, Angela Merkel, have been doing enough to raise the issue of sustainable growth, of real structural change.
Well, they have, I think, trying to drive that bargain with the Greeks, but you see how it's going down in Greece. Riots, burning cars, burning buildings, destruction. This is what happens. I mean, the Greeks are basically saying to their public officials, don't impose this on us. The public officials are saying, we have to, because it'll be even worse if we don't. The Germans are saying, you Greek sinners, you have to get with it. I mean, they all have a certain point. But this is what happens when you have, I think, a system in which accountability is diffuse. The Germans have the money. If they're going to pay and write the checks, they want to see some results. The Greeks are saying, wait a minute, we didn't elect you. We don't vote in Berlin.
All right.
So there's an enormous frustration here, and I think the only way out, frankly, is to either for Greece to leave the Eurozone and go out on your own, but that would have devastating consequences for their banking system and their standard of living, or the Greeks have to abide by what the rest of the Europeans require them to do.
Well, one final question. It's very frustrating. I mean, you don't want to countenance or approve the kind of rioting that's occurring in the streets of Athens, for sure. But on the other hand, as you were just saying, what are those people being offered? Wage cuts, cutbacks in their pensions. But the conventional wisdom always says, as well, we have to raise people's taxes so that the budget numbers come out right. Where is the incentive in there for both the Greek people and their economy to grow?
There was an illusion in Greece, as there still is in Europe, and I still think in many parts of this country, of the White House and a lot of people on Wall Street, that if you just spend more public money, it adds to growth. It yields growth. You know, the old Keynesian multiplier. $1 of spending equals $1.50 in growth. They actually believe that. Now they're learning that, you know, I mean, it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
And you need, and tax increases don't help with incentives. I think the one figure that comes out at me is, I think Greece, in the World Bank Doing Business survey, is 100th. 100th in the nation, just behind Yemen. So you can tell what policies they've got that make it just so difficult to do business in Greece, so difficult to make an investment and get it back, so difficult to hire people. When you're in that business environment, you have chosen economic decline.
Yeah.